Primal family, it's Kristen with your daily encouragement. This past Sunday, Pastor was talking about the story of Lazarus, and even in our small group the other day, we were talking about this a little bit more in depth, and I was really struck by Martha and her response to Jesus when he comes after her brother has died. And we talked a bit about how, her expectation of what Jesus could have done had not been met. I mean, she was disappointed. She wanted Jesus to come and heal her brother. And I think that she gets kind of a bad rap because of that. But at the same time, she is able to, even though her brother has died, even though, her expectations weren't met, say that even then she knows that anything that Jesus asks of God, he will give it to him. She knows who Jesus is, even through all of that. And I was immediately reminded of another scripture in Mark where there is this father that comes to Jesus and his son is being tormented by a spirit. And when Jesus tells him that if he believes that he can do anything, the father says, "I believe, Lord, help my unbelief." And I remember reading that back when I was a quizzer and really struggling with that statement because it seemed so contradictory at the time. Like he, in one breath, is saying, "I believe," and then in the very next, he's saying, "Lord, help my unbelief." And it didn't seem to me, in my very limited knowledge at the time, it didn't seem that those two things could coexist. But honestly, I think that is an amazing expression of the Christian faith. If you look throughout the Bible, it's full of examples of godly men and women who truly believe that God is who he says he is, that Jesus is who he says he is, that got to walk with the Father and the Son. And they are faced with situations where they find themselves in unbelief. And they're struggling with guilt and doubt and anger. And I think that's going to happen to a lot of us. I mean, we're all dealing with uncertainty, and we're all dealing with grief in financial situations, in health situations, in family situations. And I think it's important that we allow ourselves to be in that moment and to realize, to call it whatever it is, whatever you're feeling, you're not alone in that. And I think that's a beautiful thing. And I think it's also important that we know that it doesn't make us less Christian. It doesn't mean that we've stepped away from the faith. We don't look at Paul, who dealt with a thorn in his side and asked God to take it from him but was never taken. We don't look at him and think of him as any less of a Christian. But we know that there are moments that we have to deal with. So I would encourage you that whatever you're feeling, feel it. Let yourself be angry. Let yourself grieve. And then ask the Lord to help you with your unbelief.